Wow, we got a show today. This is the Tom Green Podcast. Hi, everybody. This is Tom. I'm excited about this one. We have Andy Brandy Casagrande, the top cinematographer in the world of great white sharks, one of the top nature cinematographers in the world. He puts on scuba gear. He goes in the ocean with giant, great white, man-eating sharks. And he gets incredible footage. You've seen him on Shark Week on ABC television. And we're going to talk to him today all about how he does this and why he does this and really what makes the great white shark tick. What's the great white shark all about? And should we be afraid to go in the ocean? We'll find out. I'd like you to follow along while you're listening to this on your phone or on your computer by going to Andy's social media and having a look at some of the pictures that he's taken, some of the videography that he's done. His handle is on Twitter and elsewhere is at ABC4, the number 4, ABC4 Explore, ABC4 EXPLORE, ABC number 4 EXPLORE. I know I said that a bunch of times, but because I figured you'd have to get a chance to run and get a pen. Okay. Andy's calling now. Let's talk to him. This is going to be cool. Hello, Andy.
Yes. Is this Tom Mother Effin' Green?
Yes, sir. How are you doing? So great to talk to you today.
You too, man.
Where are you? How are you doing? And what's going on in your world today during this pandemic?
Well, right now I'm sitting in my workshop, a.k.a. man cave or garage. I'm actually in Florida, and I've got a rig set up here that would be on Instagram's Shitty Rigs account. I'm not sure if you follow that, but it's a tripod with some hair ties and duct tape and zip ties and this phone. And anyway, I'm in Florida. I'm doing well. The lockdown, to be honest, for me, and I'm sure you can relate, you travel a lot. It was really this pandemic, the fact that it was the only thing that really slowed me down and forced me to take a break from international travel, nonstop film production, just being pulled in every which direction. It was pretty telling. I mean, I've got a wife with 2 little kids. It's been honestly the greatest family time ever over these past month and a half, 2 months during the lockdown. So, yeah, I'm feeling blessed. Financially, it's a shit show, but I mean, we're all in the same position, not being able to work, go anywhere. So it is what it is.
So you're normally traveling around the world, diving with sharks and filming sharks.
Correct.
That is so cool. I want to set this up for our audience today and have an in-depth conversation about that because so many people are afraid of sharks. I know a lot of people, I'm not one of them, but I know a lot of people who don't want to swim in the ocean because they think they're going to get attacked by a shark. But you swim with great white sharks all the time, every day. This is your life. This is your career. You're one of the most renowned cinematographers in the world who films these sharks in South Africa and all over. And are people just completely off base when they think that they should be afraid to get in the ocean?
Well, I mean, they're not completely off base. If you look at a great white shark, it does, to your average person, to anybody, it looks like a sea monster, and it's fully capable of consuming humans. It's fully capable of hunting, and the reality is they're not malicious. They're predators. They need to hunt and stalk and kill things to survive. They can't go to, they can't order takeout. They can't, right now with the whole COVID thing, obviously, they're out just being sharks, doing what they're doing. And to me, the fact that the whole world, everyone is shut down, all the human species is pretty much on hold. I think it's awesome for Mother Nature to have this time to recuperate. To me, this whole COVID thing is like the ultimate biological, psychological bitch slap to humankind, reminding us that we live and die here just like anything else on this planet. We don't own it. We shouldn't conquer and consume everything within it. I know I'm off point on the question here, but the bottom line is, yes, sharks, they're scary. I won't lie. You know, I've had quite a few close calls where I thought, geez, am I going to win a Darwin Award here? Is this actually smart? I always try to push the idea that sharks are way more intelligent and way more polite than people give them credit for. Often people are like, oh, sharks are stupid. All they do is think about eating. how can an animal that's outlived every major extinction, dinosaurs, everything else, how can they be stupid and only operate on instinct? They're clearly intelligent. And to me, they're fascinating. They have unique personalities. Every great white shark is unique. Some act like Bob Marley. They're super spaced out. They don't care. Some are super high-strung and psychotic, and they act like the sharks on the movie Jaws. But they're all different. And the reality is, like, it's so infinitesimally small, the likelihood of getting bit. You're so much more likely to die by anything and everything else.
Let me set this up. Let me set this up for our audience too, in a way, because a lot of our audience listening may not have thought about sharks very much before. Let me ask you this: when was the first time you swam with a shark, and how many times have you swam with sharks in your life? And I know that's probably a number that you don't have on the tip of your tongue, but have you been down with sharks 1,000 times? How often do you do this, and what are some of those close calls you've experienced?
Yeah, so I started the very first shark I ever encountered, a real shark. I mean, the first shark I saw was on television, a little kid. That started the whole fascination. But the very first shark I ever physically dived with under the sea was in Australia. I was 20 years old, and it was on the Great Barrier Reef, and it was actually a white-tip reef shark, which, if you know anything about sharks, white-tip reef sharks are the most cuddly, friendly, cutest-looking shark ever. Extremely non-intimidating. And I'll be honest, at first when I encountered this shark, I was a little, not disappointed, but slightly underwhelmed, because everyone, when you think about sharks, the first species that likely pops into your head is a great white. And these little white-tip reef sharks were completely afraid of me and wouldn't come anywhere near me. And that sort of started some of my fascination as well, to try to dispel the myths that actually sharks are way more polite than you think they are, and you kind of have to make every wrong move to get them to bite you. But yeah, I'd say I've easily done over 1,000 shark dives over the years. I've been doing this since 2000. I actually used to work in computer systems. I worked in software out in California. I was a Microsoft certified systems engineer. Fascinating to get into networking and see how you can manipulate computers and run servers. But I know you're into that stuff too, but just never really, it wasn't fulfilling enough, so to speak. But yeah, once I learned enough about sharks and the certain protocol or etiquette that you have to deploy when you dive with them, visibility's got to be pretty good. You don't want to be diving when they're hunting. There's all these sort of juxtapositions of what you can and can't do. It really boils down to common sense. If you don't want a shark to bite you, don't let its teeth make contact with you. The reality is, when you're out there surfing, I know there was actually just recently an attack. As soon as they opened up the beaches, the next day in San Diego, there was a supposed investigation or attack on a surfer or bodyboarder. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you hear about shark attacks all the time, but then you have people that swim with them all the time. Sometimes it's hard to understand the disconnect. Is when a shark attacks someone, is it a mistake? Is the shark making a mistake? Does it think it's a seal or something?
Yeah, often, sharks will make mistakes. If you've ever been underwater and you look up at a surfer and you look up at the silhouette of a seal, they look very similar, and you're often dealing with a turbid coastal surf environment, so the visibility is not great. You're in an area where white sharks or any other sort of shark species in that habitat could be hunting. When I'm diving with sharks, I'm fully expecting to get in the water with them. It's different if you're surfing out there and suddenly you see a dark shape pass under your board, or you get bumped or bitten. That's completely unexpected. You're also on the surface of the water. When I'm interacting, I don't like having my head out of the water. I like being fully focused underwater, whether it's free diving or on scuba. It's different. When you're prepared for it and you're mentally ready for it, the biggest thing to do is never panic. If you try to swim away from a shark, you are never going to outswim a shark. I took Michael Phelps, the greatest Olympian of all time, diving with great whites for Shark Week, and even him, the fastest dude in the world, he admitted there's no way he's going to outswim a shark. So it's tough. I mean, sometimes sharks are just hungry. Sometimes they know that you're not a seal. They know that you're not a turtle. They know you're not something they normally eat. But it's like you, if you showed up at a party and you were super hungry and the party's halfway done and you see a table there that used to have food on it, pretzels, pizza, a couple of drinks, but now it's just this hodgepodge of whatever. It's on the table. It's got to be edible. Someone else must have eaten it before, so you give it a try. And then you realize, oh wow, this is whatever it is, and it's not something you
That's
expected,
what a
but you're
human
still-
being is. That's what a human being is to a great white shark. It's like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to have liver and Brussels sprouts today, even though I'm not really a big fan of it. This is what I'm eating for lunch today. So, but let me ask you this. So you're swimming down underwater with a great white shark. You're in scuba, you're not on the surface, your head's not out, you're looking at it, it's looking at you. Has there ever been examples of a great white shark just attacking a scuba diver who is in that scenario and killing a scuba diver, or is that something that just never happens?
That's actually a great question, because when they've done studies on, sort of the targeted, I don't want to say species, but what vertical is most likely to get hit, so to speak, surfing and swimming, any surface swimmer or surface activity is usually way more vulnerable than, say, scuba diving. But there definitely has been instances where scuba divers have been attacked, killed, and even in certain situations consumed by great white sharks. And again, I was sort of trying to say before, they don't always make mistakes. Sometimes they're so hungry, they're like, fuck it. I know you're not what I normally eat, but it's a wild ocean out here. There's no stores around to buy my food. I don't know when my next meal is going to be. I'm going to go for this thing. But more often than not, it's a bite and release. Sometimes it's remove your leg or your arm or whatever. It could be pretty devastating blow there. But most of the time, they do not consume you. There are a few cases where sharks have consumed spear fishermen who've had fish attached to their weight belts. I mean, to me, that's sort of Darwin Award-winning behavior. It's just not wise.
So when you go down, you're going down and you're filming these sharks. What kind of camera are you using, and how close are you getting to them?
So over the years, I've upgraded my gear. I started out with little tiny, like standard def handy cams, little Sony cams, then moved my way up to bigger and better. And then, you're pretty well familiar with camera technology, but now I shoot with the 8K RED cameras. I also have a Flex 4K, a Phantom Flex that shoots 1,000 frames per second. Underwater, I take my RED. I've got a Gates housing. It's actually like my shield. I won't pretend that I'm the bravest guy in the world. Swimming around without anything in your hands, you still can deflect sharks and redirect them and still safely or semi-safely get out of it alive. But for me, if I ever get a super aggressive shark and it wants to bite something, I just, my camera's in front of me, so it's the first point of contact. And usually if a shark, a great white, comes up and bites my camera, it's like if you're eating a bowl of spaghetti and you accidentally bite down on your fork by mistake, you quickly realize the fork's made out of stainless steel, the spaghetti's pasta. You can tell the difference. When a shark bites on my camera housing, they realize it's metal, it's an inanimate object, it's not organic. So, but that said, I've had sharks that are just pissed off. They're aggressive or they're territorial, and they don't care what it is. They try to bite. They try to get around. They realize what's in front of them is crunchy and what's behind it is chewy. Or like I like to say, when you're in a cage with the sharks know that the cage is crunchy on the outside, chewy in the middle. Again, it's just sort of tongue-in-cheek joke. They're smart, but they're not malicious.
Yeah. Well, all your video and film that you do, of course, it goes up on Shark Week and all of these, but it's on your website, right? Where's the best place for people to watch all of this stuff that you're filming?
Yeah, I gotta get inspired by you, buddy, because my website is very antiquated. A lot of friends have been telling me, hey, you should start a podcast. So I'm thinking about the podcast. I do have a YouTube channel. It's pretty lame. I won't lie. I need to, as you know, with YouTube, you got to be active.
Hey, don't be so hard on yourself. You're swimming with great white sharks and uploading that to YouTube. That's not lame.
Okay. But yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's the same as all my other tags, ABC4 Explorer. But yeah, I'll be trying to beef that up. And
can you just say that again a little more slowly? Because I know people are listening and they might actually go look it up right now while they're listening to us talk. Because they can do that if they're listening on a podcast platform right now. It could be playing in the background. They're surfing the net. So give them the exact coordinates of your YouTube channel and where they can go find you, and then we'll keep talking for a bit. Awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. My YouTube channel, it's ABC4 Explorer or youtube.com/ABC4EXPLORE. People ask me, where did I come up with this ABC4 Explorer? So ABC, the number 4? Oh, yeah, sorry. Clearly I'm shitty at marketing here. But yeah, ABC, the number 4, as in the numeral, which is my initials, Andy Brandy Casagrande the 4th. ABC, the number 4, and then the word Explore.
EXPLORE. And that's also my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
cool. Explore,
Grindr,
yeah. Because when you say
stuff.
it fast, it sounds like Explorer, and you don't know. So ABC for Explore. Okay. How many times have you swam with a great white shark?
Oh, man. How many times have I swam with a great white? I honestly can't tell you how many times, but I can tell you I've been to 17 unique locations around the world. From what I can tell, no one else has been to this many locations specific to great white sharks. Multiple locations in Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, North America, Australia, all over the place, South Africa. And I mean, to me, it's just like, it's such an honor to be able to share these images with people, because I do feel like, and I'm sure you do too, an extremely lucky individual to have this career, this lifestyle where it's so rewarding, where you go out to these amazing places, film this amazing content, have these intimate relationships and encounters with these animals. Relationship sounds a bit Tiger King there, but you know, like, and then to be able to inspire people, little kids, to, you know, I'm sure you get a lot of males too, but so many thousands of kids and teachers and older people, they're saying, oh, thank you for these inspirational images, these stories. My whole life I wanted to be a marine biologist, and I'm a salesman, or I work in insurance, and I wish I did what you did. And a lot of people actually, and as you know now with COVID, they're looking at changing up their life's goal and purpose. And but yeah, to me, it was a childhood fascination that just turned into a career.
So you decide to go out and find a shark. Okay, how do you find it? How do you know where it's going to be? This is something because whenever I do some fishing, right? I go fishing. I think, okay, I want to go catch a fish. So I go to the spot where the fish is supposed to be. I put my line in the water. I sit there all day. I don't catch anything, and I think, okay, well, I'm never going to do that again. You know, I would imagine if I wanted to go see a great white shark, I would jump in a boat, go out, and then we wouldn't see anything all day, and that would be that. Is there a lot of that where you go out looking for them and you just don't find them?
Well, with climate change and everything else going on in the world, all the pressures on wildlife, a lot of the dynamic is shifting. Places where you'd gone for years and years and years, the sharks have moved or shifted because their prey has been wiped out or the habitat has been removed. So, but for big predators, the easiest way to find them is to find their prey. So anywhere where you have a seal colony in temperate water along the coast of California, Africa, Australia, you are going to find great white sharks because it's one of their favorite foods. So predatory fish are way easier to find than like schooling fish, so to speak, I guess, because you don't really have to. And also people chum for sharks, and that's controversial. I'm not a massive fan of artificial manipulation of any wildlife, but it's a double-edged sword. If ecotourism wasn't out running these expeditions, say in Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, then someone else would be taking advantage of it, so to speak. Poachers, fishermen, people would be catching the sharks, selling their jaws, their fins, their teeth.
I heard that in South Africa this year, the sharks just disappeared. There were no great whites there this year where they normally take people out to see them. Where did they go? Is that true? Have they come back?
It's actually been a few years now where the balance of, South Africa put great white sharks on the map with this amazing Air Jaws franchise, the jumping sharks, super slow motion. False Bay was this sort of epicenter. And they haven't seen white sharks in False Bay for actually a few years now. We're not 100% sure why. I've filmed killer whales in New Zealand, South Africa, Patagonia. I've filmed a lot of interactions with orcas and sharks, and certainly great white sharks, they evaporate. When one of them are killed by an orca or a fisherman or whatever, there's some sort of weird pheromone or a signal, or they're picking up on the dead shark scent, and they evaporate for months sometimes. And sometimes they relocate altogether.
Wow, that's interesting. So if one great white shark gets killed, all the other great whites realize this is dangerous and they go to another part of the world.
Oh, man. And it's happened in multiple locations. Textbook in the Farallon Islands off of California. A pod of orcas came in and killed a great white shark in the middle of the hunting season, at the prime of their hunting season. And usually seasonality with sharks is, say, roughly 6 months. If the height of the season is in, say, July, then on either side of that, either, 3 months on either side of that would also be the height. When this great white was killed in California, all of the white sharks in the Farallons evaporated for the rest of the season.
Wow!
Same thing happened in Australia.
So somebody saw the orcas attack the great white, and is that how they know that happened?
Yeah, actually a tourist, I believe it was a Japanese tourist, captured it on a Handycam. It wasn't the best, professional blue chip footage or anything, but it definitely was clearly a killer whale killing a great white shark. So it's a pretty amazing dynamic, to be honest. Like, it crushed my, as a kid, I always thought the great whites were the king of the sea. And now you quickly realize that orcas, being cooperative hunters, they're smarter, they're faster, they're bigger, they're stronger. Great whites really don't stand a chance.
Yeah, they made of course, Jaws created an entire mythology around the great white, and people feared them, and they're this monster in the sea. They tried to do it with killer whales. They made a scary movie called Orca back in the day, but it was just never as scary as the great white.
Right.
Why was Orca not as scary? Probably not as good a movie either, but there's something about killer whales look kind of cute. They've got that nice. They look like cute dolphins, and we've seen them at SeaWorld, and we see them jump up and balance a ball on their nose. If they could train great white sharks to balance a ball on their nose at SeaWorld, do you think that would improve humans' interaction with these monsters?
I think it would probably improve their public image.
You think they could do that? Do you think they could train a great white shark to balance a ball on its nose?
I don't know about balancing a ball, but it's funny you talk about training sharks. The military, for decades is known to be utilizing dolphins and mammals for certain missions, but there's also insight into them utilizing sharks as part of the defense force. And also, you've seen the whole Austin Powers sharks with laser beams and all that. I think it's the aquarium in Pittsburgh where they've also trained sharks to detect certain signs. When they know they're getting fed, they'll drop like an orange circle or a black square, and when the sharks see that, they'll go to their respective feeding stations. So they can be trained, they can be conditioned, so to speak. So, what about you? Have you had experiences with sharks? I had heard some rumors about MTV Shark Dive or something like that.
Yes, absolutely. So we did that on MTV when I was doing the Tom Green Show in the Bahamas. I went down with reef sharks, Caribbean reef sharks.
Yeah.
I went down to the bottom. We had hundreds of them around us, or at least dozens of them around us. It seemed like hundreds. There was a lot of them. Right. And they came up close. They were very fearsome looking. It was scary, but you know what? We realized after that it was a beautiful experience. I felt it was a beautiful experience. And I actually, when we did that, that was our idea, to go do that, to swim with them and film it. And we put a lot of effort into getting really good underwater housings for our cameras. And we even got full face covering masks, so I was able to talk to my cameraman and my co-host underwater. And cool. and when we came out of that, it was considered to be one of the first sort of times that like a comedy show went down and filmed with sharks. So it was pretty cool. People have done it since. Cool. People have done it since, but I really found it fascinating. I loved it. It's the only time I've swam with sharks in that capacity. I have scuba dived a couple of other times. I saw a shark when I scuba dived the couple other times, but never where they were all around me. And I realized after, why were they all coming close to us? And I realized that the guy that brought us down was sort of chumming the water sort of around us with tuna, and they were all coming up to us, and it was pretty dramatic, but it definitely changed my impression of what sharks are like. I would do that again. I found them very, very docile and beautiful creatures. What do you foresee a time in our lifetime where the great white shark could go extinct? Is that possible?
Anything's possible, but to me, I struggle to adhere to a lot of these estimates and these quote-unquote experts. To me, like, if you have a PhD in front of your name, it automatically makes you these experts. But I've been on countless expeditions where I'm working with a so-called expert who has a PhD, yet they've spent little to no time with the animal in its wild environment. It's more of an empirical expert, so to speak, and you need those book-smart people, but for me, like, this perfect, I've sort of tried to develop this concept called cinema science, using cutting-edge cinematography and technology to perpetuate and illustrate cool science. Because you could write the best scientific paper on the planet and publish it in the best journal of science or nature, but still only a few thousand people may read it. Whereas if you make one killer film, even if it's on YouTube or any network, you could have billions of people see it. Plus, it's easier to consume. It's easier to understand.
What I'm asking you, I don't want to make this a political thing about whether or not climate change is real and PhD people are full of shit. What I'm asking is, I'm asking you, are there less sharks than there were 10 years ago? Are you worried that they're going to go extinct?
Deep down, I believe that the human species is not as superior as we think we are, and that Mother Nature is way more fucking powerful. So I'm betting on the fact that great white sharks, are going to outlive the human species by a mile, by 100 miles.
So you don't worry that humans are out there trawling the ocean and just ridding it of so much of its resources that the entire ecosystem could break down and these things will have nothing left to eat?
I do worry about it, but just my my inner optimist. I try to just be an optimist when I can. I just believe that,
I see. That's the difference between you and me. You're an optimist.
Okay. I mean, I think humans, we're going to be our own demise. I think a lot of us are seeing that with COVID here. And I mean, to me, wildlife does need certain members of the human species on their team fighting for them in order for them to compete with us, because we are super powerful, super smart, and ravenous in every consumptive form that we can think of. So to me, I really hope not. I don't like to think that way. I'm a conservationist for sure. There's certain types where they beat you over the head with images of dead sharks and fins and blood and guts. I really like to showcase sharks in their fullest, most powerful form of beauty, which is when they're healthy, happy, jumping, ripping the heads off the seals, being sharks, doing what they do, because that's why they're here. I mean, and you brought up Jaws. I often get flack for working on Shark Week and these sort of amped up entertainment network television series. But the thing about Jaws, when Jaws came out, after Jaws came out, everyone was freaked out by sharks, and it became completely acceptable to go catch a shark, kill it, hang it up on a dock, and then everyone and their mom would go get a picture with it. You drink beers and high fives, and that was only good shark is a dead shark, that period in time. As Shark Week came onto the scene, it started creating sharks. It created them to be the most famous wildlife creatures on Earth, where every summer the whole world would start watching these shark films. And it just created this discussion where sharks became so famous that you could no longer get away with killing sharks and hanging them up without having all these social media, people jumping on your back, and PETA and all these other animal rights groups. So Jaws, although it was bad, it also it allowed us to slowly realize that sharks weren't evil. We portrayed them that way, and now we realize actually we're the evil ones. They could kill and consume you, but that's just life. I'd rather get eaten by a great white shark than get hit by a car or die from a heart attack. It's way more of a better way to go, I would think.
Fortunately, we don't have to choose, and we could avoid all of those things, except for maybe the heart attack. That could be coming for any of us at any time.
Right.
Well, listen, I appreciate you talking to me today. This was fascinating. I really love talking about sharks and looking at video of sharks, and I'll be telling everybody to go check out your content online, and be safe out there. I know that's kind of an odd thing to say when you're going to be going and jumping in the water with sharks, but be safe. When's the next time you jump in the water with some sharks?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I had about 7 projects all canceled back to back to back within 48 hours because of the COVID scenario. But my first guaranteed, I actually run these expeditions in Mexico, these cinema science expeditions with great white sharks every August and October. So if the world's opened up again in August, I'll be diving with great white sharks in Mexico in August. And maybe if you're available, dude, you should come out. I mean, reef sharks are cool, but great white sharks are a completely different animal, literally.
I would love to sit up on the boat and have a beer and watch you jump in the water with them.
No way. You got to get in, buddy.
Maybe in a cage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks very much for having me on the show. And, I'm inspired. I'm going to start the Andy Casagrande podcast, and I'll be giving you a call to be a guest.
Incredible. I will be there. Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate it, and be safe, and we'll talk again soon.
You too, Tom. Take care, and thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, man. Bye. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy, and thank you for listening to the Tom Green Podcast. Please tell your friends to subscribe. I know you're subscribed already because you're listening, but if you're not subscribed, go down and click subscribe. Then you'll get alerted when there's a new show. And there's a lot of new shows coming. Also, we're bringing YouTube into this. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tom Green. We're going to be streaming there soon and posting there soon with video. So you'll be able to watch me do this show. And won't that be a lot of fun? I'll make funny faces. I'll make some funny faces. I really am appreciating all of you being here with me during this time of crisis in our world. I'm at home, quarantining alone, and doing this podcast. And all of your comments and support on social media really do mean a lot. So thanks for being there. I'll continue broadcasting for you if you keep listening. So appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Be safe.